First number, 7. Because that's Kevin Durant's new number with the Nets after he announced yesterday that he would no longer wear number 35. So, Bo, how should Knicks fans feel about their poo-poo platter of players in light of KD and Kyrie heading across the bridge to Brooklyn?
Wow, sorry about that, Knicks fans. This has absolutely nothing to do with you, and we just did a knife twist at the end there to bring this around. Look, man, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that they lost out on these two dudes, right?
Really?
Yeah, because Kevin Durant is a super question mark. Like, we cannot pretend as though that's not a question mark. You sign him if you can, but it's a possibility that might not go right. Kyrie Irving is his own adventure. Maybe what's best for the Knicks is to stay low and build like they used to say. But seriously, right? Like, that's what wound up happening with the Nets. Built that foundation gradually, then get in a position to go get the guys.
The tricky thing about the Knicks staying low and building, though, is that they're stumbling backwards into being low. Because all we heard, and I'll say we as the Royal New York City here, all we heard was that there was a plan. Jim Dolan, the owner of the team, talked about how he heard that we are a very good destination for free agents. They traded Kristaps Porzingis under the assumption that they would need to clear cap space this summer for those two guys. And then I hear Jay Williams, Kevin Durant's friend and also our colleague, talk about how actually KD really was looking forward to playing with Kristaps Porzingis. So all I know is that the Knicks have no idea what they're doing, which is kind of how it was before these guys agreed to go to Brooklyn.
Go back to that part where you were listening to Jim Dolan. Because I'm really trying to have some sympathy for you and everything you talk about as being a Knicks fan. And you're like, Jim Dolan said that this was going to happen, and you fell for that.
You figure if you're the owner of the team, you would only say stuff if there was something.
He was reading the names of the current players off a piece of paper.
He couldn't remember who Alonzo Trier was. It's great. Sell the team, by the way, please.
Your time to talk had finished. 4, because the Sixers now have 4 6'9" or taller players in their starting lineup after adding Al Horford. Pablo, are you convinced playing a lineup this big will help Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and the Sixers?
I think it'll help them in the Eastern Conference. I think it'll help them against Giannis and against Brook Lopez and against Serge Ibaka and Pascal Siakam and Marc Gasol. I think that's what Al Horford does. But it's a weird thing when a team has all these basketball players and none of them, outside of the guy who can shoot, can actually dribble. That, to me, is going to be an interesting experiment of basketball this coming season.
The idea that any basketball team is too big is stupid. Like, let's just be clear about that part. Now, you can say they don't have certain skills, but last year they had Jimmy Butler in that starting lineup, and he's 6'8". None of us were making this argument like, whoa, you got all these guys that are 6'8" or taller. Maybe you're going too far in this. No. The question is, do they have anybody who can get his own shot, and do they have enough shooting, right? Those seem to be the problems. It seems like they signed Al Horford so that Al Horford could not play against them anymore. But I don't worry at all about Al Horford being a power forward, because Al Horford's been a power forward playing out of position for the last 12 years. You might see a better Al Horford than you've ever seen, but he will allow them to space the floor. He can pass. I just don't know if Ben Simmons still can't shoot. What are we even talking about here?
That, to me, is the question. When it comes to the playoffs, what do we see every year? Ben Simmons finding a floor that is crowded, and he can't really do much because he cannot shoot. Al Horford should alleviate that. Al Horford was taking like 4 threes a game, making about 40% for a couple years now. That's fantastic. I think Josh Richardson will help space the floor, maybe. You know, like, I guess. But outside of those two guys, man, like, it seems like they're going to set themselves up for a lot of frustration in the postseason.
Except for the fact they're going to be monstrous on defense. Monstrous, and that helps.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.